Hi everyone and good afternoon. Yeah, I keep getting messages in WhatsApp. Does the meetup start now? So yeah, it starts now. Um, so first of all, nice to meet you all, and it's good that you all came on this lovely afternoon. My name is Erez, and I will host this meetup these two couple of hours. We'll have now around four sessions, four different sessions or four different areas, but they are all talking about what we like to talk about cost optimization. First one that will show up is Itai. Itai is an architect in Cloud Team. He will talk about control towers, automation, Terraform, and what can be done to achieve cost optimization. Afterwards, we'll have Sam Babad, which is the founder and CEO of Cloud Hero. He'll talk about a little bit new approach and how he sees the multi-cloud. Afterwards, we'll have a user story by Elad Gottfried from eToro. He basically, I think, led all the journey to the cloud almost 6-7 years ago. He will talk mainly on Azure. And last but not least, Chris Cotran. He's the CEO and founder of ProsperOps. And he will also show a new approach of saving plan and reserved instance automation in AWS. It's one of a kind solution, so stay tuned. As you understand, this meetup will be held totally in English. You can, but if each one of you want to ask a question in the QA in the bottom in Hebrew, it's fine. But feel free to ask all the questions you want. We will answer shortly. And that's it. If you have any other questions, you can ask now. So let's begin. Itai.
Yes, very good. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to talk today about Control Tower, which is a managed service of AWS that created to help us control all the accounts that we have in our organization. This managed service is created for big organizations or big companies that have more than one account and need to have like a visibility and controls for all the accounts in one place. So how did we come to this point that we have the Control Tower? In the beginning, we had just the single AWS account, and we had in this account all our environments. We used to separate environments by different VPCs, and we used to separate the environment by different regions. But slowly we got to know that it's not the best practice, and we need a better separation. Sometimes our customers asked us to have like a separate account for each customer, and they can't have like resources that share the same account with the different customers. And in this point, we had like more than one account, and but we had no connection between them. In 2016, AWS created the organization managed service, and the organization is like a tenant that we have all our accounts in one place, but we can't decide for like rules for the accounts, and we can't make clear visibility between the accounts. In 2018, AWS presented the managed solution of landing zone. The landing zone is a managed solution, which means that it's not a managed service, and it's basically a code that is combining a lot of managed services in one place. And to have to make changes into the landing zone, it means that you need to know how to change the code of this landing zone, which combining CloudFormation and stack sets and GitOps and many managed services that it's not so easy to use and to change. The customization of landing zone is pretty difficult, but you can do whatever you want because it's a code and you can change the code whatever you want. The landing zone had a great success story from customers that had the possibility to manage a big team of DevOps. And it was a big success story. And that's why in 2019, we had the Control Tower. The Control Tower is a managed service, and that's why you can't customize it like you could customize the landing zone. But in the other hand, it's much more simple and much more intuitive, and it's much more friendly, and many more customers can use it now without having like a super skilled senior DevOps in their teams. So how the Control Tower architecture is built? We have the master account, and in the master account, we are creating the organization. And we are also creating an AWS single sign-on, which means that you are creating an SSO with an AWS SSO directory, and all of your users are using one single point to access all their accounts. It means that in the means of security, it's the best practice, and you can control the permission of all of your users in one place. Except of the SSO, you have like a core organization unit. The core organization units have two different accounts that's created in every control tower. There is the log archive account and there is the audit account. The log archive account will aggregate all the logs from all the other accounts that we will be creating. And the audit account will have all the security logs from all the other accounts. It's the best practice to aggregate all these logs in one place. And we used to have in the landing zone also service account, but this was deprecated and we don't have it anymore. Also, we have the AWS service catalog in the master account. The AWS service catalog is like the vending machine of all the products that we want to create in the children accounts. So if we want to create a new account, or if we want to create a new VPC or a new product or a new anything, we will create it in the service catalog. Basically, it's using CloudFormation to create all the resources in AWS, but you can configure it to use whatever you want. And in the custom organization unit, we have the provisioned account, which is the customer account or the environments account or the product account or whatever separation and division you want to separate your organization units inside your organization. So why should we use the control tower? What are the benefits? Well, first of all, there is the account vending machine. When you're going into the master account and you want to use the service catalog, you can just click on the account vending machine and create a new account. It's super simple and super easy and working very fast, and you can create as many accounts as you want. The accounts will automatically will be joining into your organization and automatically will have all the rules you want to have, like in the config rule or another rules you want to create. The new account will deploy new resources as you want to automatically. And basically, it's the best way to manage new accounts. You also have the centralized login, which it's the best practice of managing logs cross accounts. You also have the SSO that we mentioned before, which is the best practice in the security. And we also have security guardrails. Security guardrails are security checks that's created every now and then, and it's help us to keep the security kept and locked in our organization. When you have many accounts, you can't just go and check in every account and every other account if everything is okay. But with the guardrails, you can make automatic checks that sometimes are preventing people to do something and sometimes just notify about changes. A sample for security guardrails are disallowing changes to encryption configuration or disallowing changes to bucket policy that you can't make any object public, for example. It's also disallowing changes to lifecycle configuration of control tower itself and everything that belong to the organization. Another way to keep the order into your organization is the service control policies, which is a managed service that belongs to the organization, but you can manage it from the control tower console. You can use the SCP for like preventing YAM user and roles for making certain changes, like exception for a specified admin role, or maybe block service access for root user. You can prevent member account from leaving your organization and then leave your control tower and do some preventing stuff. And the most important thing that you came here for today, it's a better visibility for the costs. When you are using control tower, you can see all of your costs, all the cost of your accounts in one place, and you can keep the tagging in all of your resources in one place, and you can see all the costs in what visualization tool that you want. So when you are going to choose the control tower, you are going to read a lot of documentation in the internet about the dilemma. If you want to use a control tower or maybe use landing zone. Many people say that the landing zone has many more customization options and it's more appealing, but you need to know that this dilemma is no longer relevant in my opinion. Well, AWS is deprecating the landing zone as a managed solution by itself and is no longer providing support for the managed solution, and instead is pushing very hard for the customer to use the control tower. It's also providing the new managed service that called It's the managed service. It's called customization for control tower. And when you use the customization for control tower, you can use all the customization that you used to have in the landing zone. So this question is not relevant anymore. So what you need to keep in mind before you're choosing the control tower, because sometimes it's not the right solution for you. The first thing is that maybe you don't need so many accounts, and maybe you don't need the bigger organization. And if it's the case, so it's not relevant for you. You also can't migrate between the existing organization into the control tower. So if you already have an organization and you already have many things about this organization, like SCPs or specific billing deals with AWS for your organization, you can't migrate your organization into control tower, and you can't create a control tower when you have already created an organization. So keep it in your mind. You can't migrate a landing zone into your control tower, but you can migrate existed accounts inside your control tower. If it's a standalone AWS account and you want to join it into your control tower, it's okay. You can't use existing SSO, and also the most important thing is to keep in your mind that control tower limitations are in the details. So keep it in your mind that before you are starting to use the control tower, you need to design the entire solution in the specific details. Sometimes it's very important to know exactly what you want to achieve before you start working. Like if you are using specific regions that the AWS doesn't support for the control towers. So it's not only that you can't work with control towers there, it's also that all the guardrails will not apply into these regions. So it's not the right solution for you. So after you are creating a new account, you can have like deploy many resources and many deployments into your environments. And basically most of the customer want it to be automatically deployed. And you have many choices of how to achieve that. You can use the service catalog and the CloudFormation stacks from the service catalog to create it. But keep in mind that service catalog is a manual way to create new deployments. So if you want it to be deployed automatically, you better use the customization for AWS Control Tower. With customization for AWS Control Tower, you can use the CloudFormation, and also you can use Terraform. And we all know that most of the DevOps prefer to use Terraform as a deployment declarative language. So go ahead, there are many options for how using the Terraform into the control tower. And what about the costs? How control tower is helping us to reduce cost, or more important, to view and to see our costs much better. So first of all, with Service Catalog, we can allow users to deploy a specific products and nothing else. When you're using the Service Catalog or other deployments, automated deployments, you can disallow the user to create another resources, and by that to by that they will not create a huge redshift that costs a lot and without knowing it. You also can use the config rule, and the config is a managed service of AWS so that you can require tags for specific resources. So if you are requiring tags all over your organization and your employees can't deploy resources without tags, eventually you can create a better visualization for your billing. Using the CUR and the Athena, you can create a graph that shows you the specific cost of a specific tags. And when I say tag, you can use like a tag of customer or product or environment or whatever you want to. You can also use the Athena and the CUR to see the cost of a specific product or a specific customer when you are it's very easy to divide this cost by the accounts. If you are using one account for many products, there are some costs that you can divide it, like the traffic costs or the S3 costs or the load balancers. When you can't specific say what costs belong to which customer or for which product, when you are using many accounts, it's much more easier to make this visualization. You can use budgets as automatically deployed for new accounts. And when you use budgets, you know if there are increased in specific account for cost and to get to know it and to stop it immediately. You can drill down for the root cause of your cost increasement, and you also can deliver a specific cost by the cent for every account. And the last tip is not exactly the tip that you are gonna hear from AWS itself, but when you're using Control Tower, it's very easy to just close accounts. And the reason that it's helping you to save money is just, it's because that when you want to close and to terminate resources, you can terminate all your costs in a specific environment. You can't, your DevOps won't look for specific objects in the S3 buckets and won't get all the instances in one environment or whatever. But when you are closing accounts, you just terminate all the environments entirely. And this is the perfect way to get rid of all the tails of your cost of dead environments. Any question?
Yeah, you have one question in the Q&A.
Okay. Okay, so the Alice is asking if Control Tower service itself costs money. So basically the Control Tower is a managed service that is not costing any money, but keep in mind that you are automatically creating CSP and config rules and guardrails. All the three of them is costing you money, and the checks is costing you money. So eventually it will be something about $200 a month for keeping the Control Tower alive. It's not big money, and I think it's a great great features for this this amount of money. The config rules are is not expensive, and it's bringing you the confidence that everything is running okay and everybody is behaving.
Any other question? Okay. So next in line will be Sam Babad. Sam, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Erez. I hope everyone can see me and the presentation.
Yep.
Perfect. So my name is Sam Babad. I want to discuss a little bit the idea of multi-cloud, and is this cost effective? What are the benefits? A little bit about the drawbacks, and is this going to be more expensive or less expensive in the end? As Era said, I work for Cloud Hero, and instead of telling you about myself, I'll just tell you what Cloud Hero does. Basically, Cloud Hero analyzes your account and creates a to-do list that you need to do in order to have your account clean. Clean means both security-wise and cost-wise, but mostly cost-wise. It's kind of a housekeeping to-do list. Then it visualizes your cloud and Kubernetes costs, and it allows you to understand where you're spending your money. And finally, it automates some of the things that you normally write scripts for, or a lot of the things you normally write scripts for, in a very nice tag and forget way. And since everybody, and before you ask me, so what's the differentiator between you and other tools? The answer is the flexibility to create your own dashboards and your own visualizations is there. And we are very, very active in the account. We bring things up, we shut things down, and so on and so forth. But this is not about us. This was just me taking the opportunity. So why multi-cloud? Why multi-cloud? That is an argument that is being debated in many places right now, and I chose to show you 3 reasons that I found. Some of them really only recently. So from this week, from a call I was on this week, customer told me our CEO has instructed us to prepare to work in a multi-cloud environment and has named 3 clouds. I didn't have time for I didn't have space in the slide, but that's the idea. So that's a CTO of a health organization earlier this week. The other thing is, if you look at regulators that tell you, well, you can go to the cloud, but you need an exit strategy. You know, what's my exit strategy from the cloud going to be? I'm going to build 15 data centers for myself. Yeah, no, that's not going to work. Not even one. Well, let's just keep the existing data centers running. Well, then why am I going to the cloud? So the exit strategy of going to one cloud is basically moving to another cloud. That's the exit strategy. And that's very cool, but that means you are going to be in multi-cloud. It doesn't mean that you have to have workloads on both clouds at the same time, but definitely you're going to need to have a backup, because what are they afraid of? They're afraid that the European Union is going to be fed up with one of these 3 big companies that are called tech giants, and they're going to say, hey, we're going to limit your business here. And then you're going to have a problem, because you cannot pull your data out of the EU, okay, because of regulation, and you're going to need to keep on running. So you're going to migrate to another cloud. So that's another way you're going to get into multi-cloud. And the third answer is technical. And if one of you identifies one of these logos, then by all means shout out or write in the chat and tell me what are these 3 technologies that will actually basically make you work with the cloud they are in, if you want to use them. So I don't see any chats. I'll give you a second. In general, this is Office 365. I guess you're okay with that, with Office 365. And if you're using it, it's not an easy migration to anything else. It really isn't. And you are going to stay there. Well, some of you are going to tell me that Office 365 is not a cloud. I could have used, I don't know, let's say SQL Server, Microsoft SQL Server serverless, which is offered only there, for example. The other one is Athena. Athena is a database that is basically available only on Amazon. And if Athena solves your problem in a very, very good way, it will be worth your while going into multi-cloud just because of that. And that happens quite frequently. I chose one technology. You can say, well, no, I have a real alternative to Athena. That's okay. It's okay to have an alternative. Clouds are showing alternatives, but they are not always a complete or an excellent alternative. You're looking for something that is better for you, and it is usually worth the time, and we'll talk about it later. And at the top, in top left, you have BigQuery by Google. And again, there is nothing like it. So if you need BigQuery, you're going to use GCP, even if you're using Office 365 for your Office needs. And even if you're using Athena for something else, you're still going to use that. So you're going to end up there. Is it good? Is it bad? We'll talk, but you're going to end up in multi-cloud, whether you like it or not. So if you're trying to look at the benefits, so one of them was outlined by the regulator. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, okay? Try to diversify. That makes sense. We do it on the personal level. Organizations do it at multiple levels. They're trying to diversify their investments, and they're trying to diversify their suppliers because they want to reduce risk. So that's just a pure reduced risk management perspective, okay? The other thing is that you are, if you use multi-cloud, you're going to have a myriad of technologies available to you. So you can take advantage of anything that is offered in so there's hundreds of services in every cloud now, hundreds. Some have multiple hundreds and some are just 100, but that's a lot of services, a lot of options. And these are all there for you to exploit. So you get a variety, you get more variety. There's the geography or geographic locations issue. It's very interesting, very important to be able sometimes to be closer to your customers. If what you're hosting is something that uses remote desktop or something like that, then the distance, not even the physical distance, but the latency distance is very important. So the closer you are, the better user experience you get. That's why some of the clouds have already gone into the fog, or what Amazon calls local zones, and they're spreading more and more servers closer and closer to the end customer. The next thing that you're going to get is improved availability. Why? Because, well, shit happens, pardon my French, but it happens all the time, and it will go down. Nobody's perfect, it will go down. So if you're using multiple clouds, multiple technologies in redundancy, you get better availability. Is that the best thing you can do? Probably not. Is that, the cheapest thing? Probably not. Do you absolutely need it? Probably not. But if you're a big organization that makes money on being available, this is going to outweigh a lot of other costs. So you can say, yeah, this is going to cost me twice as much, and multiple cloud never costs twice as much, but this is going to cost me twice as much as it would be if I just stick to one cloud, but it's worth the money for me because of the availability I get, and that overrides any other cost decision. And last but not least, we still see customers, and not just one or two customers. We see multiple customers that are running out of computing power. This is why there's an ice cube image right here, because they get what's called ICE exceptions for Amazon, insufficient capacity exceptions. So they're asking for more computers and they cannot get them core because the cloud is elastic, the cloud is immense, but, well, not really. It's eventually finite. So yes, we're still running out of computing power. So if you need more, go to another cloud. Obviously, it will be easier to go to another availability zone, another region first. But, sometimes you say, no, I want 2 close regions, or I cannot go to another region because I'm not allowed to get out of the country I'm not allowed to take the data out of the country. So I want as many regions as I can in the same area with low latency between them. And then sometimes the right answer is multiple clouds. So we're still running out of compute resources, and the cloud is a big issue. And what I'm trying to say is there is gain in the pain. So it will be a pain working multi-cloud, but there are benefits. There are also challenges, okay? Data gravity is still there, including data transfer costs. Creating a network and securing all of that is going to be an issue because you are going to need somehow to make this happen. Deployment of an application to multiple clouds is not going to be a snap, and don't let them tell you, yeah, this is a Terraform, it will work for AWS, then the same thing will work for Azure, and then the same thing will work for Google. Yeah, it will work after a lot of hard work, your hard work. So deployment is going to be difficult. Sometimes migration, sometimes you want to move workloads between one cloud and the other. That migration is also going to be difficult. Governance, same idea, and skill set. You're going to need to develop skill sets for both clouds. And that's before I'm talking about, all of these things here, okay? Statistics, optimization, machine learning. So you need, you need to be able to somehow automate all of this and control all of this, okay? Because you have services and you have servers and you have data and you have everything else, and you're going to develop IP for optimizing this one way or another, okay? So after all of this intro, let's get to the meat of the FinOps idea, okay? So let's talk about cost a little bit. Unless you have any questions, you're more than welcome to write in the chat. So let's talk about cost a little bit. The first and most overlooked cost is skill, people, skill set. A lot of people tell me, hey, I've got a ton of data. It's going to be very expensive to move. Nah, it's going to be $70 a terabyte to move out, and that's before, tier discounts. Okay, that's before, not tier discounts, but special discounts. Okay, that's before special discounts. So if you have a petabyte of data, that's going to cost you $70,000 to move them one time. And then the delta, so let's say you generate 1 petabyte of data a year, that's going to be $70,000 a year. The person, the DevOps guy or the data guy that is going to be, handling the other cloud is going to cost you more than that. So skill set is the biggest and most ignored cost. The other one is the data, but it's a smaller issue than people think. Because the latency between the clouds is not huge, okay? And B, because the price is not that big compared to computing price, to service price, and support price and stuff like that. Okay, so latency is also not a huge factor. People always think latency is a huge factor. It's not that big. You can try that. You can try me out. Obviously, it's not like putting two servers on the same, network in the same rack. It will not be the same. But the latency between the clouds, and some of them are not going to admit it, some of them are, the latency is forever decreasing. It's getting better and better all the time. As for the price differences, so I chose an example here, and it's very difficult to compare apples to apples. Clouds are actually going out of their way to create machines that are not similar to other machines from the other clouds, because then there is no point, right? So what's my differentiator? So I tried to take what I think is a fair comparison. You can argue, I'm not going to argue, go do your own comparison. But if you take an M5 extra large, that will be about 19 cents per hour. If you take, that's AWS. If you take an N2 standard 4, that's about 19 cents per hour, and that's GCP. If you take a standard D4 V4, that's about 19.2 cents per hour. Again, that's Azure, and they all have 4 cores and 16 gigabytes. And of course, you can tell me, look, these are the differences. I get it. The differences are there. They were built to be there. But when you look at it at the end, A, are you 100% utilizing the machine? Most of the time, the answer is no way. B, you are, you cannot compare apples to apples anyway, so it doesn't really matter. This is close enough. And if you do that at all levels, you're going to end up with roughly the same pricing. But so that leads us to two things. A, it's more significant to make sure you are actually utilizing what you have, and that it's a high utilization. So you don't have machines standing there. And that's the case in most places. You don't have machines standing there. That's one thing. The other thing that is very, very important is that you take advantage of cloud pricing, cloud plans, cloud discounts, cloud coupons, and all of those, okay? Otherwise, you're gonna get a bigger saving there than just by switching clouds. So if you can negotiate, but when I mean negotiate, I don't, when I say negotiate, I don't necessarily mean, arm wrestle with your account representative. I mean, automate, negotiate by automation, reduce the sizes, alert, increase sizes when you need them, work on elasticity, work on pricing, work on having the right price. And I do not want to steal Chris's show, so I'll let him talk about it. Work on those. They're going to give you a more significant, it's going to be a more significant impact than just working on moving between the clouds. Okay, so multi-cloud works both ways. It can be more expensive, but it can also be cheaper. Why can it also be cheaper? Because sometimes spot pricing can be 70% cheaper inner cloud. Forget multi-cloud, just between availability zones in Amazon. You don't believe me? Go to our website. There is a page there that says spot. Look at the spot pricing. Look at a couple of machines, and you're going to see that in front of your eyes. We're just comparing the spot pricing. And you can see that this is going to help you save much more money. Now, the thing is that these move. So pricing moves. In some of the clouds, it moves fast. In some of the clouds, it's relatively stable. But even when you're stable, that is compared to what you have somewhere else. So if the other cloud is raising the price and mine is stable, I should move to the stable price. If the other cloud is reducing the price and my price is cheaper than the other cloud, then I should move back. So it can be cheaper, it can be more expensive. It's really it's really a matter of what you're doing and when you're doing it. Okay, so as I said, reservations, special pricing make a huge difference. Vouchers and discounts, okay, they're repeatable, and they're especially repeatable if you move between clouds. So every time you move, you get a moving discount. Okay, maybe not every time, but more than once. Some of the clouds will throw in professional services. That's part of the deal. Okay, and you will find that clouds offer better pricing for services that are based on their technologies. So if I'm Microsoft and I have a lot of tech that was on-prem and now I've made it available in the cloud, they're making a point of making it cheaper on their platform than on other platforms. If I'm Amazon and I have my own hardware, then definitely I will make that cheaper than hardware I have to buy. If I'm Google and I have some technologies that I'm using on my other business, in my other business units, and you want to use them for your data, then it will definitely be cheaper to use them on the Google Cloud. So that's something to look for, and that's a way to, exploit the different offers of the cloud to your cost benefits. Okay. Last but not least, or two things. One is, it does make sense to actually use two clouds for the same system. It does make sense to actually use two clouds for the same system. People tell me, no, it's not going to work. It does work. I've seen customers where the data is in GCP and the processing is on Amazon. And the latency is okay, and the data transfer is okay. And when you calculate everything, you get two things. It's actually cheaper, plus you have more computing power. So their data is in GCP, and when they query the data, it's not transferring all the data, just what they're querying, and they're running the processing on spot instances on AWS, for example. That does make sense. Not always, but it does make sense. It's not a no-no forever, okay? The other thing that is important to understand is that Kubernetes, which is emerging and everybody has it right now, is a great way to use the clouds, but not lock into the clouds. So it's a great way to migrate workloads. And if you look at what Redis is doing and other database and data storage providers, they're actually moving their databases into Kubernetes, where you can actually move the data with the workload, and it's reasonable. So think about it. Not everything is big or huge data, and some of these data sets, you can move them with the workload. And if you do the ROI on that, it can be 2 hours. So paying the data transfer and everything, and the multiple systems that you have to have running at once in order to have 100% available service, when you're done on the other side, it will take you 2, 3, 4, 5 hours for ROI, and then you're saving money. Besides, if you can start the job on the right cloud at the right price point, you're going to save money on the way. So automation, Kubernetes is our friend. Automation is going to save the day. That's it. I think I've overstepped my boundaries, my time boundaries. So I'm going to be brief. My conclusion is, multi-cloud is here. It's not going anywhere. Managing your cost on the cloud you're using is more effective than trying to skip clouds. It's easier to do and more effective and more immediate. Okay. Kubernetes can help you harness the benefits of using multi-cloud. And you shouldn't worry if you have one system split between multiple clouds. You're not the only one. What I do think, and that's my personal opinion, is that as we move forward, and I know there's at least of one customer that is doing it, as we move forward, the decision between the clouds or which cloud am I going to use is going to be done on a workload per workload basis. It's going to be done on a per workload basis. Every workload is going to go to the cloud that fits it best. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sam. We'll take now 5 minutes break, and then we get back for another 2 sessions, one from Elad Gottfried from eToro, and the second one is from Chris Katran, the CEO and founder of ProsperOps. So let's wrap it up in 5 minutes. We'll see you in 5 minutes. Of course, if you have a question, you can ask them and we'll answer you freely. Thank you very much.